All right. Ignore how sweaty and disgusting I am and listen to the words I'm about to tell you. So let's talk about popcorn, ceiling popcorn. Um, Popcorn was originally installed back in the 70s and 80s as something to help with the acoustics inside of a home. It also, really, honestly, full honesty, was installed to hide the imperfections of drywall work. It is near impossible to get a ceiling or a wall completely and utterly smooth unless you put a lot of time, effort, energy into it, and that's just not cost efficient. So what they do is they install texture. Usually in ceilings, it's for it's popcorn, and on the walls it's something like orange peel or whatever. Um, and now everybody wants to get rid of it, rightfully so. It's hideous, and if you bump into it, it comes raining down on people, etc., etc. So let's walk through real quick how to get rid of it. Number one thing you want to do is grab a pump sprayer. Pump sprayer, real simple operation. Things are also fairly affordable and cheap on like Amazon or Home Depot or whatever, right? You spray your ceiling area. You don't want to saturate it, but you just want to make sure that it is decently wet. Right? Then it's raining on me right now. Then ideally, what you want to do is let it sit for a couple minutes. It depends on how old the ceiling is. It depends on how old the paint is, or what type of paint was used. The goal is to let the water penetrate behind the paint. If it can penetrate behind the paint, it's much easier to just scrape it off, right? And that's the whole goal. The goal is to scrape it off. Once it sits and it soaks, you're gonna want to get one of these. These are drywall knives, right? This is a 12-inch taping knife, and this is a good old 6-incher, the average, right? This is a 6-inch drywall putty knife. 12-inch knives and blades are great because they knock more down in a single swipe. I like using the small guy because I feel I move a little bit faster with it. And I have a little more control, and I'm gouging less of the drywall when using this. But anyway, so after it sits a couple minutes, what you're going to do is you're going to go up. You're going to get the knife, and this is your ceiling there. You get the knife, and you're going to try and get as flat as possible, and you're going to scrape the mud or the popcorn. It should come off in sheets. It should really just come off in one big swoop if you let it soak properly. Now, here are a couple things to take into consideration. Number one is, this ceiling I'm running into some difficulty with because whoever painted this used a paint with a lot of sheen into it. And more times than not, when you have sheen, the more kind of waterproof the paint is. That's why, like, flat paint, it's so hard to get stains out of it because the stains soak right into the paint. When you have sheen, it's more kind of like a waterproof barrier, so stains don't get. That's why the more sheen, the easier it is to clean the paint. So the water is not soaking into the paint into this like I want it to. So what I've been having to do is going and scraping off the top layer to the best of my ability manually, which causes a lot of dust, a lot of headache, and a lot of shoulder hurt. And then spraying with the water, and then giving it another scrape. Couple of things to think about, or a couple of things to keep note of also when you're doing this. Number one, gloves are helpful for your own personal protection. Number two, eyes and mouth, 100%. Eye protection and a respirator. The reason being is, number one, there's tons of dust in the air, which irritates your eyes after a while. And number two is, I can't tell you how many times, because you're working overhead, that you get popcorn kernels in your eye and it hurts like nobody's business, because it's not just a popcorn kernel, it's like a popcorn kernel and all the dust that was on it, it goes inside your eye, it has jagged edges, it hurts real bad. So 100% eye protection. Number two, respirator. Respirator, eye protection. Some people will get those white masks. Those are great when you're working in like in my opinion, a more ventilated room. Because I'm working over the garage portion right now, I have to leave the garage down. So I am using a full-on respirator. You're not supposed to breathe this stuff in, especially stuff that was sprayed in like the 70s and 80s has a high chance or a decent chance of having asbestos in it. So this is gonna be your best friend while you do this. It's gonna be hot, it's gonna be muggy, it's gonna be sweaty, but you get it done, right? You can get it done. So that's one thing. Another thing is, I'm working in the garage, so as you can see, I have no plastic laid down or anything like that. When you're working, if you decide to do this inside your house, inside your home, you're gonna need to cover everything, because drywall dust is some of the finest dust in the world, and I don't mean that as a compliment. It is so fine that it sticks to things, and it gets into everything, gets into things that you didn't even think you can get into. And it travels everywhere. It's easy to kick up, it travels everywhere. It even can get inside, your phone has a fan, it can even suck into your phone if you have your phone out, when your fan is cooling your phone. So lay plastic down on everything. Home Depot sells big giant rolls. I don't have it with me, it's in the outside, but Home Depot sells big giant rolls of, you know, different mils of plastic, painter's plastic, that's 12 feet wide and like 100 or 400 feet long. So cover your whole house in plastic. You can even line the walls with like tape, put tape along the top of the wall and drape it down to protect your walls. Then when you're done, you just tear it all down, scoop it up, boom. Another thing you may want to be doing is ventilation. What I always do when it comes to a drier or dustier jobs is I usually have either positive or negative pressure ventilation going on, meaning, you know, blowing air in so that pressurizes the room and blows it out, or using some type of basically vacuum pressure to suck in what's going on and blowing out. You can get like a nice air mover for, you know, $90 from Home Depot or something like that, where you just put it at the entrance of the room. Like I would probably line something up at the base of this garage door and have it suck all the dust out if I really cared about the dust, but I've been maintaining the dust in this job. But yeah, ventilation, because you just, and it also helps with dust control too. If you can ventilate the room properly, helps a million times with dust control. Stuff's just not resting and getting into things. It's flowing constantly. The best thing to do is move it while it's still in the air. As soon as it starts dropping on the ceiling, if you can get it from here to out, you're golden. The second it hits the ground, you're done for, and it takes a lot more cleanup. So anyway, let's see if we can scrape some stuff real quick. Should have been sitting for a minute or two by now. I wear gloves because I have cut my knuckles and stuff on the popcorn, and also it just helps cleaning. A lot of people are like, you don't need gloves. You don't need gloves. I wear gloves because it's easier for me to clean afterwards. You see, this is not, this is the portion. So this is the portion of the ceiling that I haven't pre-scraped. And so this old paint that's on here is not letting water soak in behind it. So I'm gonna have to come through and pre-scrape this, which is going to be really dusty and dirty and disgusting, which I hate. I want to come and pre-scrape this and then spray it with water again, let that soak, and then hopefully we'll be able to take it all down. But while I'm up here, all you do is you just take this guy, get it as flat against the ceiling as possible, so you're not making gouges into the drywall, because then that just means more drywall repair. And just giving it, you know, a good couple of, yeah, I can't get this into this cell. But see how it's coming down with big pieces like that? That's ideal. I'd be even better if it came out in bigger pieces, but we're gonna have to scrape this even more. Anyway, that's the quick synopsis and quick breakdown of how to hopefully get rid of all your popcorn. So good luck, and you know, hopefully you use this tip to save a couple of bucks. That's the big thing, save some money. Also, go check in on your friends. See if somebody needs a quick little hello check-in. You know, say hi, call somebody you've spoken to in a while. Wish them well, see how they're doing, ask them how their day was. Other than that, have a great weekend, guys.